The Moselle taught winemakers that great wine needed more than great grapes. In Zeltingen, Western Germany, in 1982, a cooper still shaped oak by hand to craft wine jugs that cellars depended on. Subscribe for more forgotten skills. He's building an Oruts, an 8-liter wine jug used to fill fermentation casks. Oak logs meet a froe and beetle mallet first, splitting into narrow billets. That striking tool comes from a salvaged wagon wheel hub with a handle driven through its axle. Each billet will become a stave forming the jug's curved wall. Splitting with the grain gives flexibility for bending without snapping. Raw staves show pale sapwood at the bark edge. He removes it with a cooper's hatchet, keeping only the dense heartwood. At the same time, he tapers one face in the middle and thins the opposite ends, coaxing the curve before assembly begins. A shaving horse clamps each piece at chest height. He smooths rough fibers with a drawknife, working the wood carefully. Only the best oak progresses further, cut to length, split, and dried for 3 years in outdoor stacks. Smooth staves get trimmed to match a master template. Every cooper creates a patterned stave for each vessel size, transferring its dimensions to every piece. Length stays identical, with protruding ends sawed flush. Taper, the width difference between middle and ends, remains consistent across all staves, creating the characteristic bulge. A curved model determines outer roundness. The long leg traces the circle, the short leg shows the joint angle. He planes the curve on the workbench, checking constantly. Edge angle is critical. If the joint doesn't close perfectly, wine escapes later. Have you ever wondered how coopers ensured every piece fit? When enough finished staves are ready, raising begins on a spotless floor. The first stave gets clamped inside a truss hoop, then the rest are added one by one. Tapered upper ends nestle tight along the hoop and eventually support each other. Once the circle closes, pushing the hoop down locks the ring, though the bottoms still splay open. This hollow skeleton reveals the final shape's hint. Oak must be steamed to bend without breaking. He places the shell in boiling water for 2 hours. Larger casks get inverted over fire and sprayed with water while he shapes band iron into a hoop on the anvil. He hammers to create curve and taper simultaneously, punching rivet holes through overlapping ends. After steaming, the jug shell emerges slightly scorched, but the wood bends without breaking. A windlass tightens around the open end, drawing staves together. He fits a narrow binding hoop, hammering the truss hoop forward. Additional hoops slide over, locking the body firm. The lower end gets leveled with a plane, then a crows cuts a groove for the bottom panel. The bottom slides in once the lower hoops are removed and staves spread. A pestle taps it into the groove. For vessels holding wine longer, a seal of dried rush gets pressed into that groove. Temporary hoops swap for final binding hoops, driven tight at the neck. A plane peels thin ribbons from the staves, erasing work marks and revealing oak's grain. The jug rotates in the vise as shavings fall. Large cooperative vessels have been replaced by industrial tanks, but small handcrafted pieces found a second life. Wine jugs, butter churns, and buckets made in Zeltingen today live as planters, vases, and umbrella stands. If this kind of craftsmanship matters to you, subscribe now because traditions like this deserve more than memory.